Hello, welcome to Raymond Castile's Basement of Horror. This is the first episode of our third season. And as we did last year, we're going to spend the first month celebrating Halloween. So all the episodes for the month of October will be Halloween themed. As you can see here, I've got Halloween decor. This beautiful piece was a store display item for Target many years ago. So this would hang from the ceiling in Target stores. And I'll tell you more about that in another episode. Now this is vacuum formed. It's plastic. And even though it's big, it's actually very fragile. So I'm taking a risk hanging it up. I'm just hoping it doesn't crack. Over here, I think this is a AJ. Oh, look at this. This is Billy. Oh, there he goes. That's my black cat, Billy. People wanted to see him, so I've trapped him down here in the basement with me. Is he going to go away? He might be. I'm sure he'll be back later. So you saw Billy. He was chewing on the microphone earlier. He was gnawing on the mic, so I hope the mic works. I hope he doesn't chew it apart while we're shooting. So this is an AJ Renzi candy pail, and we saw that last year. And here, this is a vintage candy bucket. This one's made of paper, and it's got both pumpkin and black cat. Let me give you a look at that. I don't know what year this is from, but it's got pumpkin, black cat, jack-o'-lantern, black cat theme. Oh, we have a 90s. Is this 90s? Early 2000s? I think it's early 2000s. Rubber black cat to match my real black cat. This is an Empire piece. Let's get this out here. Yeah, so this is 1995, made by Empire, so not that old. And this Dandy International, 1989. So this foam witch is Dandy International, 1989. So here she is, and she's squishy. Just a little, decor to make it seem Halloween-y. Here's the Shock Monster wall plaque from last season. So all of this will change when we start the regular episodes, the non-Halloween episodes. All right. So that just orients you to what you're looking at. What are we going to talk about today? Let's see here. These are all dusty. I think we'll talk about air freshener. That'll get you in the Halloween spirit. Air freshener. I think we'll just do an entire season about air freshener. Why not? There we are. Air freshener. How about that, guys? Air freshener. Whoa. Billy approves. These are all Wizard air freshener. Wizard air freshener. Why are we looking at air freshener? I mean, you can see it's Halloween themed. Wizard air freshener. Let's see if there's a date on these. Like I said, we're just going to do the whole month of Halloween. It's just going to be air freshener. It's all we're going to look at. We're not going to do anything else. 1984. Bristol Myers, 1984. Wizard air freshener. And it has, what does this say here? An autumn spice fragrance. There's nothing quite like autumn spice fragrance. Now, Billy, I'm shooting something here. See, this is why I didn't have Billy over the summer in those shows I did. And yes, my hands are still cut up. He's still chewing my hands up. Didn't wear the white gloves this time. Okay, so we have a ghost. It says trick or treat. Okay, there he goes. And we've got a witch. I know there's a shadow on it. I'm sorry. Bear with me on the shadow. We'll fix that next time. I mean, it's not too bad. There's a witch. Dracula. And when you look at him, you hear, "I want to suck your blood." That's a good old-fashioned vampire. Good old-fashioned cartoony Dracula vampire. Here's Frankenstein. Yeah, that shadow's really bugging me. Okay. We'll cut and we'll fix the shadow. All right. I got rid of the shadow. It's a little darker, but I think that's good. Okay, so there's no shadow now. All right. That's Frankie. This is air freshener, figural air freshener from 1984. Let's see if the date's the same on all of them. It's really hard to read this. Yeah, 1984. Wizard air freshener. Okay, so why are we looking at air freshener? Is this not the most disorganized launch of a YouTube series season ever? Why are we looking at air freshener? Because these are cool in their own right. And this is not the whole set. There's a couple more I don't have. These are cool in their own right, but these are based. Well, I wouldn't say they're based. These designs were originally used for a series of candles made by Gurley Novelty Company. Now, I believe Gurley. I don't think Wizard Bristol Myers. I don't think they took the Gurley molds. I think that both Bristol Myers and Gurley contracted a third party company that produced these. And so that company was free to license out the designs to another company after Gurley made them. I think, from what I've read, there's not a whole lot of information about Gurley online, but I think that's what's going on. So it's not like Gurley sold the mold. So they might have. I think it was more that they both Gurley and Wizard used the same third company. So, these were originally candles, and what did the candles look like? They looked like this. Here we have a candle. So it's the same character as this, but this is a candle and this is air freshener. This is made by Wizard. This is made by a company called Gurley Novelty Company. Gurley. Gurley. You can see it right there. And for the rest of the episode, we're going to talk about Gurley. We're not going to talk about air freshener anymore. We're going to talk about Gurley Novelty Company. And that's really what this episode is about. It's about the Gurley Novelty Company Halloween candles. And this is an example of one. And let's see. Here is another. Actually, I have two Frankensteins here. These are Gurley candles, not air freshener. These are candles. But you can see they're the same mold. And the Gurley candles came first. I don't know what year the candles are, but they came. It wasn't like 20 years or something. It was, a few years, like late 70s, early 80s. They're roughly the same time period. But the candles did come out first, and then we had the air freshener. Now, I don't have as many of this style candle as I thought. I have some more characters here, but these are more air fresheners. These are different characters from the ones we saw. These are Wizard air fresheners, even though they're in this orange box. And I have to say that when I started this episode, when I was getting set up, this fooled me. I thought these were candles until I looked at them. So I really only have in this style box the two Franks and a skeleton. I thought I had more Gurley candles in these orange boxes. I'll have to get some, because they made all the same characters as both candles and air freshener, and Gurley made them all in these orange boxes. So I'd like to get some more the Gurley orange box candles. But you can see some more characters that they made as air freshener. And they look just like the Gurley candles. So what you're looking at is, essentially the same thing. Except one has a nice autumnal fragrance and the other melts and provides light. So let's put these back. See, I never know what I have until I do these episodes, and I discover there are things I thought I had that I don't. Things I have that I had forgotten I have. So I thought I had, like the Dracula and some other characters as orange boxed candles, but I don't. So I have to get some. I think I just had so many of the air fresheners that I kind of satiated my appetite for these. Like, candles, air freshener, what's the difference? And truthfully, although I love Gurley candles, there's something kind of unique about the air freshener. Because you just don't think of that for like Halloween novelties. You just don't, you don't think of air freshener. It's just a weird kind of thing. It's sort of a relic, even though I know they still have air freshener. it really is a relic of the 70s and the 80s. These are from the 80s, where you had those weird gelatinous air freshener containers that, gosh, look at all this cat hair now, that you lifted up and it had this sort of jelly-like substance inside and had an overpowering smell. And I know they still have air freshener, but I don't think it's that kind of air freshener is as popular anymore. So now we're going to talk about Gurley proper. Okay, now you want to look at a rotten-looking box lid. Look at that. That box has seen better days. That is from the depths of the basement. That is, oh boy, it's got some ancient cat hair stuck to it right there. A cat has been nibbling at it. You can see it's got cat vomit on it. And I think a cat lived on this, like slept on it 20 years ago. Okay. Well, I'm always a little rusty when I've been away from this program for several weeks or months. It takes me a while to get back in the swing of things. Someone left a comment on one of my videos, I think it was the Super 7 video, saying, I came here to see the figures, but you are just so boring, in all caps. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's kind of the point. I have a certain style that's kind of boring. If you don't like that, then you've come to the wrong place. I'm sort of the antithesis of hosts that talk real loud and fast and do wild gestures, and that's not me. It could be me if I wanted to be real phony, but that's not my personality. So here is a classic Gurley Novelty Company candle set. And let me see, it doesn't have a date on it, but I was going to say 50s because it looks kind of 50s, but nah, it's probably 60s. It looks 50s, but it's probably 60s. So you can see there's a owl and a pumpkin. Yeah, it's a jack-o'-lantern. He's got a little pumpkin face. There he is. You can see it just barely. And a witch with an orange outfit. Hearing something kind of rattling. It's the table. The table's rattling. So, look at that artwork. Look at that good old artwork. Classic old Halloween artwork. Not much to see on the back, I'm afraid, but that's what it looks like. Well, while I'm packaging this back up, let's talk about Gurley. I've got some notes. I don't want to kid you, I've got notes. So, Gurley Novelty was owned by Franklin Gurley. So it's not just a name that they pulled out of the air. The guy who owned the company was named Gurley. And he also designed the candles. So he didn't just own the company, he designed the stuff. And that kind of reminds me of Keith Ward, who owned Topstone, that made the Shock Monster mask. Keith Ward not only owned the company, he designed the mask. He sculpted the masks and he did the illustrations, at least during the classic days of the company. I wonder if that's really not that unusual, that a lot of these old classic companies were kind of, one man or mom and pop kind of operations that they're much smaller, I think, than we think, because we think of a modern company employing lots of people, having big manufacturing capabilities. But a lot of these companies, the more you look into this stuff, it was like one or two guys who just kind of started it in some little rented space somewhere, and just it was almost handmade, like a artisan kind of craft-based company. A lot of these little toy and novelty and mask companies started like that. And Gurley apparently was no exception. You had one guy designing all of these candles you're going to see, well, most of them, the early ones. So the guy who owned the company designed the products too. Instead of having like a staff, like here's the graphic designer, and here's the sculptor, and here's the illustrator, and the photographer, and the marketing, and here's the safety tester, and blah, 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 blah. So Franklin Gurley started the company in 1939 in Buffalo, New York. And that's another thing. So many of these companies start in the Northeast. So in like the early to mid 20th century, as far as manufacturing, certainly in the toy industry, or even toy-like these things, the Northeast was where it was at, particularly New York State and particularly New York City. Almost all of the toy companies were based out of New York City, and if they weren't based out of New York City, they were at least in the Northeast. So it doesn't surprise me that this was based in Buffalo, New York. I would have been very surprised if it were in, say, California or Oregon or Chicago or someplace. But it's very typical that it was in the Northeast. So the original name of this company was W&F Manufacturing. Come back out here. And I believe, let's see. Yeah, so even here, yeah. This is W&F Products. So even as late as like late 70s, early 80s, whenever this came out, that WF name was still part of the picture, even when it was calling itself Gurley. But it was originally W&F Manufacturing Company. And the early candles were branded under the name Tavern, like a tavern where you go get a drink, a tavern. So they didn't call them Gurley candles. Franklin Gurley didn't call them Gurley candles. They were branded as Tavern candles, and were made by W&F Manufacturing. And before I did this video, it sounds like I've been to the tavern, but I haven't. I promise you. For this video, I tried to find some Tavern branded candles and see if I could just buy one just to show here. And they didn't have any, like on eBay, I didn't see any Halloween Tavern candles. They had Christmas But even when I looked under sold auctions, I couldn't find any Halloween. So maybe Gurley didn't make Tavern branded Halloween candles. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I do know that all the candle-like products were branded under Tavern. Let's look, before we go any further here, let's look at this. Yeah, there's no dates on any of this, but I'm gonna say it's 60s, and I'll tell you why in a second. This is another really classic Gurley candles set. This is one of the most iconic designs when you think of Gurley candles. These jack-o'-lanterns with the witch hats. That's a classic Gurley candles design. And I love the packaging. It's simple, but it's got that beautiful 50s, 60s aesthetic. Definitely not 70s, which is my favorite decade for toys and merchandise. It's definitely not 70s. And here's what it looks like on the back. These were originally 35 cents for the pair. Let's see if there's anything to glean from the back. Special candle kit offer. So it's a mail-in thing. Yeah, it says copyright by Gurley Novelty Company, Buffalo, New York. No date. No date on this. Candles for party favors and decorations. Okay. Now the reason I say that these are probably 60s is apparently, I thought the silk plate was torn. It's not. Apparently, the 60s is when Gurley started to focus on sets. So they were more into individually packaged candles in the 50s. And in the 60s, they started to get into the sets. That's what I've read. There's not a lot of information about Gurley history online. But if that's true, then most of these sets are probably 60s. I know that they started with wax lips and wax teeth, which were really big when I was a kid. But they started with those, and then they went into the candle making. In 1949, they officially changed their name to Gurley Novelty Company. But as we've seen, they still kept the W&F manufacturing. But in 1949, to the public, they started branding their candle products under the Gurley Novelty Company name. And that's when they started to focus on figural candles. And they made candles for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Halloween. But of course, we're going to focus on Halloween. They were really big in the 50s and 60s, and then they started to decline in the 70s. Although that's when I saw them. They didn't seem to me like they were declining, but apparently the 50s and 60s were their heyday. 70s it started to decline, and then in the 80s they went out of business. And I'll say a little something about them going out of business shortly. I'll let you go. Like this. Oh, these are so fragile. I've only got about 100 more candles, so this won't take long. So this is like candle 97. This will be a 2-hour show. No problem. No problem. Oh, these are cute. These are so cute. Okay, these happy little jack-o'-lantern candles. Now, obviously the one in the middle has candles inside of it, but I think the jack-o'-lanterns are also wax. They don't have wicks, but they have a little Oh, it looks like a little metal circle inside where the candle would stick into. So I don't know if, I think these are wax as well. I think the pumpkins and the candles are both wax. It's all wax. But I don't know for sure. Could be wrong. Could be that the pumpkins are plastic. I don't think so. I think everything Gurley made was wax. Halloween lantern. Yeah, lantern candles. On the bottom it says lantern candles. These were 49 cents originally. Let's take another look at these cuties. They're so cute. Look how cute they are. Happy little jack-o'-lanterns. So I'm just guessing that all these sets are 1960s, according to the information I've read. But, you know, could be wrong. Okay, here's an individual candle. Oh, yeah. So this could be 50s. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing on it to, I mean, it could be anything. It could be 80s, it could be 50s. But here is another very iconic Gurley candles design. This witch. Isn't she something? And on the bottom, she has this piece of paper, and all the individual candles, and some of the packaged ones too, have these little cardboard bases. So I don't know what decade this particular one is from, but apparently they focused on the individual ones in the 50s, and then they moved into the sets in the 60s. But that doesn't mean she could have been made in the 70s, early 80s, whatever. But I'm just guessing. She kind of looks like, well, she's pre-80s. I mean, she kind of looks like, she could be from the 50s. I doubt it. She was probably manufactured in the 60s or 70s. I think it's just my disbelief that something from the 50s that's this perishable would survive in this condition. But I suspect if this were made, and this is the design, does that really look like a 50s design? That looks a little too, I don't know, detailed. Like you saw the first one I have, that cute little orange witch, that was like a 50s design. This looks like a later, you know, more detailed, scarier looking design. But, you know, there's no date on these, so who knows? Could be anything. But I know they continued making that design for years and years. Let's see what else goes in this yellow bag. Let's see here. Yeah, this is not as interesting to me, but let's show you this. This is an owl. Is there a date on this? Nope. And some people really love these designs. I'm not as big a fan of this style. I like the more character-oriented ones. But some people really go for these type of designs, these kind of girly designs. You know, the more artsy, abstract-looking ones. I like the more hokey, Halloween-y ones. I think that those kinds of, I don't know, I was going to say that is probably an earlier one, but I don't know. That's not 50s, that's for sure. Not that kind of design. You know, it could be 60s, could be 70s. This is clearly a later one. Is there a date on it? No, none of these have dates. Here's a packaged witch. You can see the Halloween art. Here she is. That's a cute witch. Here's the art on the back. So these things are almost like toys. You could almost play with these. They're so detailed. And if you didn't have a witch toy, you could take that and, you know, play with it, use it like a toy. Let's see. Oh, this is a cute one. Ha! Oh, there we go. There's a good old-fashioned jack-o'-lantern. He's hollow. Nothing on the back, just a pumpkin. So he's 79 cents. The fact that he's more money, he's not 39 or 29 or whatever. The fact that he's more money tells me that maybe he's later. He could be a 70s. Early 80s. But that's just guesswork. I'm assuming that the more recent they are, the higher the price would be. The price sticker on them. He's got some discoloration, but here's a ghost. Because he's got some discoloration. And he looks a lot like a blow mold ghost. And I think there's another Gurley candle that looks even more like that blow mold ghost. In fact, there are a few Gurley candles that look a lot like blow mold toys. I don't know what came first, the candle or the blow mold. I suspect the candle did. And then the blow mold was copying it. You see all that discoloration. And he was 59 cents. And is he... Yeah, I think... I see that the bag is discoloring too, so I think something's going on with this one. He's contaminating something. Maybe it's ghostly ectoplasm. Well, let's see here. Oh, is this a cutie? Oh. He's got a few splits. Oh. Plastic splitting. Now that's one of the older designs. That's a very classic Gurley Candles Halloween design. I think shards of plastic are coming off of my hand. His shrink wrap's deteriorating. moving around. I don't want him to get up here when I've got this one out because he'll ruin it. This is fragile. So that's a very classic design. I say this is getting yellow too. Huh. I wonder what's going on there. The plastic's getting yellow. Don't know. There's some tape on it. Maybe the tape's what's doing it. I probably should, I should rebag all these. They've been in this box for ever and ever. And for all I know, I hate to say it, but it could be a cat took a whiz on the box. That's entirely possible. You know, if so, it happened 20 years ago. Probably my first cat. I remember I had a cat named Shiva that used to sit on top of this box. This box was up on a high shelf, and she would go up there like a high up throne. That's why it's such a mess. The top of the box is a mess. And she's been gone many years now. That's why I put everything in bags, so nothing gets touched. So this is that witch that you saw in that other product bag that had the artwork on it. This is her out of the bag, but still, I mean, she was never sold in bag. She was sold in this shrink wrap. And that's what she looks like from the front. You didn't get to see the front of her face before. Oh, there's a date on this. It's 49 cents. So someone marked it 1970. So someone bought this for Halloween 1970 and set it on a shelf and didn't use it. And I don't know what's making these outer bags this color, but it's definitely time to change bags. So these things have been in here. All of these have been in this box for, I guess, like 20 years. Oh no, he's for another day. Yeah, this is not a Gurley. This is an old lantern family candle. That's not a Gurley. We will do an old lantern show another day. Let's see, I think, yeah, I probably have a few old lanterns in there. Here's another one of these witches. Yeah, this is an older. That one's older, not in as good a shape. I don't know if it's older or not, but it's not. The condition is not as good. It's not as well preserved. Another one, yeah. She's a little better. Yep, another one. Obviously, I have a few of these. bags are these bags are deteriorating. Gosh, the shopping bags are deteriorating. Cow. And this. And this plastic is like brittle up there. So that's an old design. That's probably, I hate to try to put dates on these things anymore, but this design is probably one of the older Gurley designs, I'm guessing. Could be wrong. I like how the pumpkin in her arms kind of looks like some of those pumpkins we saw earlier. But that's another classic Gurley candle design. Big Witch. It's a good thing I looked at these because I don't know if it's a chemical reaction. I think it is. I think it's the plastic in these bags is reacting or something. None of this stuff lasts forever. I think I should really just change out all these bags. Ooh. Yeah, this the plastic's all cracked and crinkled. Another one. Yeah, plastic's very brittle. Plastic's cracking. This one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what this discoloration is. It's a chemical reaction, because most of these bags are like clothing store bags. These plastic bags, I got these wrapped in. And they're not, see really, I didn't know this back then, but if you're going to, is there another old lantern? I think so. You really need to use food store bags because they're not the same. Old lantern's got to be for another day. Let's see, what other Gurleys do I have in here? Old lantern. I just want the Gurleys. Just show me the Gurley candles. Oh, I've got a lot of old lantern families. No, this isn't old lantern episode. This is Gurley. Ah, here we go. So this is another classic Gurley design. These are very different from the other ones we've seen, but this is a bleeding skull, and I had one of these as a kid. And I have a few more of these. So we'll set him over here. Set him over there. Let's make sure, do we have anything else in here that's not a lantern? There's another one, skull. Another skull. Let's see, that's a lantern. That's a lantern. Lantern. A lantern. A lantern. Okay. All right. So this is another skull. I was going to say, so when you're storing things, you really need to use plastic bags that are made for the food industry. I didn't know that 20 years ago. I was one of the founders of Be Something Studios that told me that, because they used to ship. They would store their masks. Be Something Studios made Halloween masks. They're called Zagoni Studios now. But they used to put their masks at the factory in plastic bags that were just standard kind of plastic bags. And they would store them in those plastic bags until it was time to ship them to the stores. And they rotted in the plastic bags. And I said, well, what's going on? We're using good latex. What's happening? And then they discovered that they were using plastic bags that were not rated for the food industry, like the ones you get at the grocery store. When they switched to the bags that were rated for use in food, like grocery store bags, the masks didn't rot. So it matters what bags you put your collectibles in. And most of these bags I've got are ones for Borders books, and a lot of them are clothing stores, So, anyway, these are bleeding skulls. This one still has what is that? Venture. Oh, that's a blast from the past. So this has a Venture price sticker on it. And if you don't know what Venture is it upside down? No. If you don't know what Venture is, that is a store that is like Target, but it had this oblong sign with stripes, kind of like a barber pole. It was a unique logo. And as far as I know, I don't think there are any Venture stores anymore. It's gone. It went out of business. But that's a store chain from my youth. So you'd light these things on top, and the blood would drizzle down over the skull. $1.98. $1.98. And the wick is where the red is concentrated. So as that lit, you get this red goop. This red wax drizzle down and drop, on the bottom of the eye, then roll off. That's what the bottom looks like. Is there anything different about any of these? No, it looks like they're the same. So I had one of these as a kid, and I still remember. So Gurley, they sold Gurleys at like Ben Franklin and Woolworth, and I want to say maybe Skaggs. I remember at places like that. And obviously we see Venture. Obviously, got the price sticker. So they were kind of a dime store or junk store brand, but they did sell them, like especially like Halloween. Of course, any store in their Halloween section is going to have stuff like this. So they were widely available, although they were kind of known as something you find at a drugstore or that kind of thing. But I remember being in a store, it could have been Venture, and seeing these on the shelf, seeing these skulls, just rows of these skulls. And luckily my parents bought me one. And I don't think I have it anymore. I mean, it's wax. It's not going to last through the years, but I played with that a lot. I really liked that skull. And what I would do is the skull would be this. I think there was a Warren magazine, like Creepy or Eerie. If I remember correctly, it had a story about a giant hand that would come out of the abyss or out of the smoke. This giant hand, and would crush people. And I think there was, I don't know if it's in the story or just in the cover, but there was like a skull involved. Like there was a big skull and the hand would come out. But anyway, in my games, I would take one of these and I would take a rubber severed hand. So they still sell them, severed hand. It's a hand, it's severed, and it's got like red blood, it's hollow, and it's made of rubber, okay? It's kind of like a joke item, but they've been selling those since I was a kid, and they still sell them now. So I had one of those, and that would be like the hand that would come out of nothingness, and then one of these would be like the head floating around, and this rubber hand would come out, and then like the adventure people will be explorers or investigators that discovered this Lovecraftian demon giant skull with a hand that kind of came out of nowhere, and so I just have the hand floating around, the skull floating around, and the little adventure people, and the skull would, the hand would grab them and lift them up, and the skull would be floating there. I don't know how those stories ended. Probably not very well for the adventure people. I don't think they survived, unless one of them was Bruce Banner or something. Very often in my adventure people games, one of them would just happen to be Bruce Banner, and then he would change into either like a comic action hero Hulk or I think it's Vix, the crushable Hulk. One of those, whichever was handy. He'd Hulk out. So I'd set up these really macabre scenarios, like the one I just described, that would just drive the adventure people to the brink of insanity until finally Bruce he had enough, and he went with his eyes, and then he'd take him away, and I'd switch it with the Hulk, and he'd take care of everything. Oh, look at this. This is the same skull, but it's big. Now, I never saw this as a kid. I got this from Andrew Williams, who I've mentioned before. He's a collector friend of mine. And you can see it's much bigger than the standard version. As a kid, I only saw these. I never saw this. So this is a big old skull, big old Gurley Candles skull. And it is Gurley, the same company. Does it say anything different? Nah. What does it say? It says air currents and drafts can cause irregularly shaped novelty candles to drip. Place candle on a plate while burning. And we did do that when I was a kid. Copyright by the Gurley Candle Division, W&F Manufacturing Company Incorporated, Buffalo, New York. Made in USA. And all of these are made in the USA. All the Gurley candles are made in the USA. So this is pretty cool. This big old giant skull candle. I'll have to put these all back in their bags later. Now I've forgotten which one was in this. I think this one was in this. So I was telling you about these bags. So if you're going to put your stuff in bags, like I do, use bags for the food industry, because the bags, they do deteriorate and they react chemically. So like all these things have plastic seals on them, and then the plastic in these bags will react with that. And I suspect that's what we've seen in some of these. because I don't think it's anything to do with a cat. No cat has gotten inside that box. So I think what we're seeing here is plastic deteriorating and having chemical reactions with other plastic. So all these have got to get the bags changed out. Something I probably should have done 20 years ago. Like I said, most of those have been in there for 20 years. Let's see here. All right. So this is one of the more sought after Gurley candles. And it used to be really expensive, but the bottom kind of fell out from under that. This used to go for at least $100, sometimes much more than that. But now you can find it for like $50. The market's changed. But this is one of the most sought after of all the Gurley Halloween candles. And once upon a time, this was sort of like the centerpiece of your Gurley collection. If you had this, it wasn't easy to find. It's a lot easier now than it used to be. It used to be very difficult to find. This is called Witch's Brew. Witch's Brew. And you can see she's stirring up a witch's brew, stirring up her cauldron in her cave. Almost reminds me of the Aurora model kit of the Salem Witch. Kind of has that vibe. And there's a candle behind her. So you don't light her up. The candle is behind her and makes the whole scene glow. So this, I mean, it's in beautiful condition, except for me. Yeah, it's got something broken, but the box is wonderful condition. And the candle inside the box is wonderful condition. So this is a good example of this candle. And a lot of people would probably say that this would be their favorite of all the Gurley candles. I don't know if I would say that. For now, I'll put it in this way. I certainly like it a lot. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite. Okay, is there anything else we want to look at? So I've got a lot of these old lantern family pumpkins, but I don't want to preempt that. Maybe we'll do a lantern episode this month, and then we'll talk about what those are. So I'll give you something to look forward to. But a lantern family pumpkins are these foam pumpkins with faces, and they made the big ones, they made small ones, they made candles, and I've got a giant box full of lantern pumpkins right over there. So I think that's maybe that's the next thing we'll do. Why not? Since we've got these here. We'll cover old lanterns next time. Why not? Might as well. All right, so there you have the Gurley candles. I said earlier that they went out of business in the 80s, and then I said there's more on that later. So there are reproductions available of Gurley candles. I don't, certainly not all of those I just showed you are available as reproductions. But several designs are available as reproductions. Anyone who's familiar with Gurley candles can tell them apart like that. But if you're just starting out, you might get fooled. The company that sells the reproductions is Vermont Country Store. Vermont Country Store, it's a mail order company, and they sell reproductions. Now, there's another company that calls itself Gurley Candles, and they have a Facebook page, and I don't know what's accurate, what's not, but this Gurley Candles on Facebook presents itself as the official legitimate heir to the Gurley Candles name, the owner of that name. And according to that Gurley Candles, all of the molds for all of those candles were scrapped in the 80s. The company went out of business and had all the molds scrapped. So now Vermont Country Store, I think says that theirs are made from the original molds. I could be wrong. The Gurley Candles on Facebook says no, they're taking vintage examples of the candles and making molds from them. I don't know who's right, who's wrong. But the Gurley Candles on Facebook, which has a Facebook page, you can find it. They've been saying since 2011, their earliest post is from 2011, that they're going to make new molds and start producing new Gurley candles. Because all the old molds were destroyed, they have to start from scratch and resculpt all of these. But they've been saying that they're going to do that, or they're in the process of doing that since 2011. And as far as I know, they haven't sold any yet. They haven't completed this project, and they don't have any new candles to sell. So who knows what the future will hold. If they do get that up and running finally, they're from new molds, so they'll look similar, but they won't be the same. And these ones that Vermont Country Store sells, if they are made from molds made from, casting a mold of an original candle, they're going to be smaller and they're going to lose some detail. But whether that's the case or not, however they're making those, you can tell looking in photographs, they're obviously not the same. They're different. And I'm sure if you had in your hand, the original reproduction, you could tell the difference. When you're starting out collecting any new category, it's very hard to tell what's original, what's reproduction, what's real, what's fake. And I get people sometimes who ask me about various categories. Well, how do I tell which one's real, which one's not, which one's vintage, which one's new? And, I hate to tell you, but really the way you learn is by being burned. You just got to get burned. After you've been burned 2 or 3 times, it's like being actually burned. After you touch an oven a couple times, you start to learn not to touch it. After you've been burned buying something you thought was original and find it's a reproduction, or thinking it was vintage and finding it was a later version, after you've done that a few times and spent money you shouldn't have spent, you learn. You learn the hard way, and that's the best way to learn. That's the way to really learn. Hard knocks. Trying to read it in a book or have somebody tell you about it in a video, it's not going to work. It can give you some pointers, but until you really get out there and get your hands on the stuff and your eyeballs in person on these things, you can't really learn to develop a sensibility about, okay, this is vintage, this is not, this is a repop, this is original, and so on. This is, if you're looking at a Marx figurine, a lot of people ask, well, how do I tell a Marx monster figure? How do I tell if it's 60s or later? Even because some of the later ones are made in original colors. You just got to hold it in your hand and you just got to know. You can, if you have the experience, you can say, this is a 60s one, and this one's modern, but you're not going to know that watching a video or reading a book or whatever. You've got to buy the stuff, get it in your hands, and make a few mistakes. And that's how you know. So if you're going to collect these Gurley candles, watch out, because there's at least two sources of potential reproductions. One, they don't have this Vermont Country store. They don't have a lot of variety on their website. I thought they had more styles available, but there's that company, and then at some point, this Gurley Candles on Facebook. At some point, they plan to be selling reproductions, new sculpts based on the old ones. So you'll have to watch out for that too if you want originals. I would say this is probably a good time to get into it, because it seems like prices are, from what I can see online, prices are down. So, like I said, that witch's brew, that used to be $100 or $200. Now it's $50. So that tells me that the market for these is, so this is the time to buy. If you think these are cute, you like what you saw, get on eBay and start buying. Packaged ones, like I've been showing you, are very difficult to find. 9 out of 10 of the ones you're going to find are going to be loose with no packaging. And most people are fine with that. Most people, their Gurley collections are loose with no packaging. I like things in the package. But with candles, I think I'm unique in that. I think most candle collectors are just fine with the candles out of the package. But this is a good time if you want to get into it. Prices are down. So if you thought these were cute, there's plenty of them on eBay. Buy a few. It won't cost very much. And it's a fun, old-timey, Halloween-y kind of thing to get into. Gurley also made Christmas and Thanksgiving candles. And I understand that the Thanksgiving ones, I think, are getting popular too. I'm not interested in that, but if you want to get beyond just Halloween and collect Gurley in general, it's not just Halloween. There's a good variety of all kinds of characters and things. So I hope this showed you something different, something besides just the usual toys and novelties and things. I mean, these are novelties. They're novelty candles, but you saw candles, you saw air freshener, and you saw a real black cat for Halloween, an authentic, real black cat. Is he around? Nope. I don't know where he went. But at least you got a glimpse of him, so next time you'll probably see him again. Okay, one or two bits of housekeeping. First of all, I apologize that this has been a little herky-jerky. Like I say, when I've been away for a while, it takes me an episode or two to get back into the swing of things. So it's been a little rough tonight. We will have a Halloween giveaway. I will probably announce that in the next week or two, and it'll be its own video. So I'll have a video just for the Halloween giveaway, and I'll instruct you to enter the giveaway by subscribing, liking, and commenting on that video. Not this video, that future video. So be on the watch for that. It'll be its own short video where I'll present the giveaway. And then after that, subsequent episodes, I'll reference that video. I'll say, now, find that video in the playlist and go, if you want to enter the contest, and comment, like, subscribe on that video. And then the week of Halloween, we'll have the drawing like we did last year. So we will have a giveaway. Not announcing it yet, but be looking for it in the next week or two. So the first or second week of October. Let's see. I don't get political on this show, and I'm not going to get political now, but I am going to encourage you to vote. We have an election coming up, and I would encourage everyone, whoever you're going to vote for, I'm not going to tell you vote for this or that, but do vote. And I want to let you know that I already voted. In my area, we have the ability to vote early in person, and I was able to qualify to do that. So I went to the election authority, and it was a simple process, just like, on election day. Went up to the counter, and they identified me and gave me my ballot, and I sat down at the booth just like a normal election day and filled out the ballot and went to the machine and fed the ballot into the machine, and bzz, it said, "You have voted." And I went out, had my I voted sticker, and I'll show you a picture of me with my I voted sticker. So it was just like doing it on election day, only I avoided all the hassle. And I think, as we all know, very likely this year is going to be a madhouse on election day. So if you can vote early, look into it. I mean, every place is different. Every different jurisdiction has its own rules. Look into it, and if you can vote early, I would highly encourage you to do so. I think it's a good idea this year in particular. Probably a good idea any year, but good idea particularly this year, given what I think we all expect to be going on election day. It's probably going to be a weird day, so I think it's better to get that taken care of early if you can. I would encourage you to do so. Okay, that's it. I think we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching. We'll have a month worth of Halloween episodes, Halloween stuff, Halloween items, and then in November we will start the regular episodes where we'll look at action figures and other kinds of monster toys. And we'll continue that through the holidays into early 2021. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch these videos. I do appreciate you. Thank you very much. Until next time, remember, he who dies with the most toys is dead.